That's better. Okay, right, it's past, so we might as well get started. We're going to start this morning laying down, so I thought that might be quite nice for you, in particular, Shona, after your run. So as long as we can get you up again once you're down, that's the main thing. So just coming either to Shavasana or with your knees bent and the soles of the feet on the mat, maybe with your knees knocking in together so they're supporting each other. So just bringing yourself down to the space and starting to tune into your breath. So just noticing how you feel here, noticing which parts of your body are in contact with the mat. And really trying to flatten your spine into the mat so that it's supported along its entire length. So maybe tucking the chin a little so you get length in the cervical spine. And just noticing how you feel, how your sacrum feels at the back of the hips, how your lower back feels, how your mid-back, your shoulders, really try and let your shoulders be heavy and open here. Perhaps upturning the palms so that your shoulders externally rotate. And then just tucking the chin slightly to elongate the cervical spine and releasing any tension in the jaw. So letting the teeth part. Maybe letting the eyes close here. And starting to bring your intention and attention inwards. Maybe you want to set a sankalpa for your practice this morning, an intention. Maybe you don't. But an intention is just perhaps a quality that you'd like to bring while you're on your mat. And that maybe you can take off your mat when you've finished your practice. So just taking a moment to see what arises for you. Acknowledging that these are strange times at the moment and we've all had disappointing news that affect who we see, when we can see them, our plans for Christmas. Just trying to let all of that stuff go. And trying to come to a peaceful place within yourself. You've set aside this time this morning to unite your mind, your body and your breath. So let's do our best to leave everything that's off our mat. So starting to tune into the breath now, following the inhale. Maybe you're aware of the coolness as the breath enters the nose. And just seeing which parts of your body are moved by the breath. So perhaps you're aware of the rise and fall, the expansion and the contraction. Really check in with the belly at the moment, making sure that the ab muscles are completely passive, no tension being held there at all. Let the breath move into the belly. Maybe taking a few deep inhales and just holding for a moment or two before releasing slowly. Let's really start to tune into the parasympathetic nervous system here. This is what tells our bodies we are no longer in fight or flight. We're now in the rest and digest mode. By being in the parasympathetic nervous system, with that having dominance, it means our muscles are more easily able to stretch, and release. So we're no longer striving for anything. We are coming to an acceptance of being, noticing how we are being. Now bringing your awareness to your rib cage and noticing how the breath moves into the back body. Just bring your attention to the back ribs where they're being supported by the mat and the ground. With every exhale, see if you can release something and become a little bit heavier into the mat. Now moving the breath up into the upper body, into the collarbone region, into the shoulder blade region. Really consider the very tops of your lungs. Maybe deepening your inhale here and see if you can become aware of where the neck and shoulder muscles engage to accommodate the expansion of the lungs at the very tops. And now bringing your attention away from any one particular part of the body, we're going to just turn our attention for a minute or so to some pranayama or control of the breath. And we're going to look at Samavriti breath. Samavriti means equal action. So we're going to inhale for 4 and then exhale for 4. I'm not going to count it. I'll let you work it out for yourself because we all breathe at different rates. But if you can attach a count to your inhale and your exhale and match them. Just going to do it for a few cycles. Now we're going to just increase that count by 1, matching the inhale and the exhale. And then increasing the inhale and the exhale by 1 more breath. So maybe you're up to 6 or wherever you started your count. Maybe taking the opportunity to notice the tiny pause between inhale and exhale, exhale and inhale. Now letting go of any count of the breath, let go of all control, let your breath find its natural rhythm. Maybe take a little roll from side to side on your sacrum, on the back of your hips here. Just gently bringing your awareness now into your physical body and the sensations that are present here. And then coming to stillness, stretching one leg away long and then the other leg away long. And just letting your head and neck turn to the left. So imagine that you're looking over your left shoulder. So just letting your shoulders be really heavy here if you can, particularly in your right shoulder. And then up to center and turning the head and neck over to the right. Noticing what's happening in the shoulders here. Trying to let them be heavy. Back to center, once more over to the left. And to center, and last time over to the right. And back to center. And from where you are, just very gently lifting your chin towards the ceiling. So you're dragging the back of your head in towards your shoulders. So we're creating a little bit of space under our neck here. We're just taking a stretch into our throat. Just taking a moment here, noticing how it feels. If this doesn't feel good, just back out of it. So we're coming into a very gentle version of fish pose here. Just letting the chin be up, so we're looking behind us, and then slowly letting the chin come back towards the chest, and now bringing the chin onto the chest here. So just noticing if you suddenly develop a little lifting of the lower back off the mat. So we're just trying to keep the spine engaged with the mat here. Maybe you need to roll your pelvis just a tiny bit. So keeping the chin tucked in here. And then release. And then bringing the right knee in towards the chest here. Hugging perhaps around the shin. Take a nice big inhale, and on the exhale, let's bring the nose up to meet the knee. And then slowly release and send that right leg away long and bring the left knee in towards the chest. Hug around the shin. Nice big inhale here. And on an exhale, let's bring the nose up towards the knee. And then down. And then from here, bringing both knees in towards the chest, taking a little roll from side to side, massaging the lower back into the mat. And placing the left foot down on the mat, leaving the right knee up towards the chest. And let's start to work into the hip joint by drawing big circles with the right knee. So really explore the range of movement you have here. So the leg comes away long, right into the chest, out to the side. So we're really working into that hip socket. Remember, it's a ball joint, so we can really work into the full range of movement that we've got. And then let's take it back in the opposite direction, see if that makes any difference to how that feels, or how it moves, or how it might change the range of movement. And then coming to stillness, and either holding the shin or just letting the knee be there, let's work into the foot. So starting to circle into the ankle and the foot here, wiggle the toes as the foot is going round. And then let's change direction and take the foot and ankle the other way. So really resist the temptation to move the entire lower leg here. Men in particular seem to find this difficult. I don't know why, but it's just isolating the movement into the foot. You don't need to involve anything else. Then coming to stillness and really flex that foot by sort of driving the heel away, and then point the toes. Flex and point. Flex and point. So we're stretching, we're lengthening and shortening the Achilles tendon that comes from the heel into the back of the leg, that comes into the calf. Just working into that area, noticing how that feels. Shoni, you might feel nice and loose after your run now, or you might have tightened up a little bit. Just interesting to note how that is. And then placing that right foot down. And bringing the left knee in towards the chest. And let's start to explore what movement we have in the left hip today. So just noticing if this side is any different to the other. It doesn't matter which direction you're going in, just taking it nice and slow, really working into all the nooks and crannies here, if hips do have nooks and crannies. And then let's come back in the opposite direction. Noticing how that feels, taking the leg away long, all the way out to the side, in towards the chest. One more time. And then coming to stillness here, and let's explore the ankle mobility on the left side now. So really circling into the ankle in one direction, really involve the toes, give them a little wiggle and a waggle, and then back in the opposite direction. And then coming to stillness, and let's flex into that foot. So imagine that you're driving that heel away. You should feel some tension in your calf here, and then pointing the foot. And flex, and point, and flex, and point. And then slowly bringing that foot down to the mat. And just taking the feet as wide as the mat now. And just let the windscreen wiper from side to side, very gently. The knees don't have to come down to the floor. We're just expanding on the movement we've initiated in the hips. So we're keeping that going, keeping the hips nice and warm, mobilized. And then coming to stillness and bringing the feet back to where they were before. We're going to cross the right ankle over the left thigh. Once we've crossed the right ankle over, we're going to use the hand to very gently just encourage that knee away. So what we're doing here is actually opening the right hip a little bit more. So, don't heave on that knee for all it's worth. It's just a gentle, persuasive action, and then leaving the knee where it is, bringing the right hand, and let's reach behind the left thigh as we lift the left foot off the mat. So perhaps grabbing behind that thigh, perhaps grabbing on top of the left shin, wherever you feel comfortable. But what we're going to do here is encourage the left thigh towards the torso. So that should immediately bring a lovely activeness and awareness to your right glute, the outside of your right hip. Should feel quite active there. So just encouraging that stretch, maybe flexing into the right foot, seeing if that changes the stretch any here. And then if you're all set up and comfy there, let's go ahead and straighten the left leg. So really drive away with the heel, flex into that foot. So we're stretching Achilles into hamstring, into glutes. So we've got two opposite things going on here. We're stretching the right glute and we're stretching into the left hamstring all the time, just teasing that left thigh towards the body a little bit more. So quite an active stretch this. Noticing how you're breathing, make sure you are in fact breathing. And very, very slowly bending into that left leg, bringing the left foot down to the mat and cross the right leg all the way over the left. So we're nicely cross-legged here, arms come away from the body at shoulder height, and slowly and carefully we're going to let the knees drop over towards the left. So keeping the shoulders down here, maybe your knees get all the way down, maybe they don't, but your shoulders should be on the mat and you should feel quite a nice stretch into your right glute here and your right hip. If it doesn't feel nice, back out of it. So we're in a nice spinal twist here and stretching into that right hip. Maybe you want to lift and turn your head in the opposite direction. Just for a breath or two, see how this feels. Finding your breath. And then head and neck come center. And let's slowly and mindfully bring those knees back to center. Uncross the legs and bring both knees in towards the chest and hug around those shins. Let's bring the nose up towards the knees and take a little roll from side to side here. And slowly bringing the head back down to the mat. This time we're going to take the right foot down to the mat, keeping the knee bent, and cross the left ankle over the right thigh. So take a moment to set your spines up nicely here, so making sure you're nice and flat on the mat. Shoulders are heavy and open. And then very gently pushing that knee, encouraging the knee away to open that left hip a little bit wider, noticing what's happening to the torque on the pelvis here. So you'll get a little bit of a change of direction, just noticing how that feels. Then leaving the knee exactly where it is and bringing the left hand through behind the right thigh or shin and picking up the right foot off the mat. Let's encourage the right thigh in towards the torso as we enjoy that lovely stretch into the left hip and thigh and glute. So noticing if there's any difference between this side and the other side. Maybe taking a little bit of movement here, seeing if making the movement dynamic changes it at all. I'm just having a little roll from side to side. And then coming to stillness. And if you want to extend this stretch a little bit more, let's just take that right heel up towards the ceiling. Really make sure that foot is active so we can feel the stretch in the hamstring and the Achilles. Maybe into the plantar fascia on the bottom of the foot. And all the time teasing that thigh in towards the body so that we keep the stretch on in the left hip. So again, just noticing how this feels on this side. And slowly, slowly bringing that right foot back down to the mat. Releasing the thigh and let the left leg cross all the way over. Arms come away from the body at shoulder height. And let's slowly, gently and carefully anchor down into those shoulders as we take the knees over to the right. So just seeing where you get to on this side. Maybe you can go further, maybe you can't go as far. Maybe both sides feel about the same. Once you've got to where you're getting to, maybe lift to turn the head to look over the left shoulder. Just appreciating this lovely twist. And try and tune into the opposing bits and sides of your body. Some bits are being stretched and some are being compressed. Some are being wrung out and some are really being pulled taut. Head and neck come back to center, really anchor down in the shoulders, engage the abs and slowly bring those knees back to center. Hug both knees into the chest. Inhale and on the exhale, bring that nose up to the knees, take a little roll from side to side. Just notice how you're feeling. Then head and neck come back down to the mat. Send both legs away long. Just take a moment here, see where you're aware of sensations in your body. And then draw the soles of the feet up to meet each other. So we're going to be in Supta Baddha Konasana, or the supine version of Cobbler's pose. So we've done a lot of hip opening work. We're just going to finish our supine movements here with our hips nice and open. So if this is still feeling a bit tight and uncomfortable for you, maybe lengthen the shape of your diamond, if you like, by sliding your feet further down your mat. So just keeping the soles of the feet together, really being heavy into the shoulders, maybe tucking the chin slightly so we've got a lot of length in our cervical spine. Just tuning into the length of our spine on the mat here at the moment. Taking a few breaths. And then slowly and carefully, maybe using your hands to bring your knees back up to center. We're going to hug the knees in towards the chest. This time we're going to cross at the ankles. And very slowly and carefully, just take a few rolls forward and back and forth. And the next time we're going to come up to seated. I haven't left myself enough room on the mat. You might want to give this a try. If you found that difficult in any way, we're just going to transition here from cross-legged over in front onto our hands and knees. But if you want to give it a go all in one movement, we're just going to come up to hands and knees like so. Something you might want to practice in those dull moments when you're watching TV. So now that we're over on all fours, we're going to push our bottoms back towards our heels and take extended child's pose. So stretch those arms away nice and long, foreheads down to the mat. Just consider what's going on in your bodies here. Feel the stretch into your shoulders, taking care if you have shoulder issues. This doesn't feel great, bring the arms behind you in just Balasana in child's pose. But if you're okay with your arms out in front, we're really going to stretch the fingertips away. And now just walk the fingers of the left hand over to the right hand. So it's just the arm that's moving. And then we're going to really stretch through the left hand shoulder here. So making sure you're still breathing, really feeling the intensity of the stretch in the left shoulder, and then slowly creeping the left hand back to center and over to the left hand side of the mat. And now we're going to walk the right fingers over towards the left, placing the right hand on top of the left hand and feeling the stretch into the right shoulder now. So forehead stays down. Really reach away with those fingers. Feeling the stretch, possibly all the way into your hip. And then very slowly walking the hands back to center. Bringing one hand in slightly and then the other hand, and raising yourself up to all fours into a neutral tabletop position. So just taking a moment to set yourself up here. So wrists are below shoulders, knees are below hips, and just imagine that you've got a nice flat back. Now, slowly bringing the chin in towards the chest as we push the mat away. So very active here in the hands to open the shoulders, really feeling the stretch between the shoulder blades here. And then slowly, let's start to come in the opposite direction. So chin comes forward and up. We send our hips away, so stick your bums out here. Really push the mat away here as well. See if you can become aware of when these oblique muscles in your, to the side of your, well, they're all part of your abs, but in the side of your body and front. And then let's bring the chins back in towards the chest. Or angry cat. Push the mat away. Sorry, my head has disappeared into my top. So really pushing the mat away, creating space between the shoulder blades. And then dropping the belly towards the floor as the chin comes up. And once more, we're still pushing the mat away. You can feel those side abdominal muscles getting a good old stretch. So we're shortening the muscles in the back body and lengthening the muscles in the front body. And then let's come to a neutral position. And bringing, either moving the knees back or taking the hands forward or doing a bit of both so that you're still in the center of your mat. So feet are about hip width apart, as are your knees. And slowly take your bum back towards your heels, get a good stretch in the shoulders. And we're not stopping there, we're going to come all the way forward now. So we're going to move between hanging cobra and extended child's pose. So don't forget, when we're doing anything with back bends, really approach this with a spirit of inquiry rather than pushing it to its upper limit. Let's just see how you are today. Noticing if you're tight in your hip flexors, maybe you've got a bit of tension in your lower back. Just paying attention to what there is there right now. One more time, sending the hips back. And this time, when we come forward, we're going to stay forward. So maybe you find this more comfortable if you let your feet come a little bit wider. Maybe your hands need to be more under you. Maybe they need to be a bit further apart. So just checking out where you are today. If this isn't comfortable for you at all, just lower yourself down so that you are in Sphinx pose. But if you're reasonably comfortable, by reasonably comfortable, I mean, we don't want to go any further than the edge of discomfort. So find your edge and make sure you're the right side of it. So if you're happily hanging in hanging cobra here, see if you can release your glutes, because there's a tendency to have them switched on here. See if you can let everything switch off, and then bring your attention to your shoulders. What's going on in the shoulders? See if you can slide those shoulders down your back. Maybe taking your hands a little bit wider, seeing how that changes things. Just noticing how you feel. And then let's take a little look slowly and carefully over towards the left heel. Noticing what's happening as we shorten in the left side of the body. Still pushing out of the right arm, it will have eased off a little. And slowly and carefully coming back to center. And then taking our glance over to the right. And back we come to center again. Slowly and carefully lowering by bending into the elbows, and down we go. Make a little pillow with your hands and rest your forehead. Take a little roll from side to side here. And then come into Sphinx pose. So elbows are in line with the ribs here. Hands are parallel, or forearms are parallel, should I say, and you're glancing down between your thumbs. So just noticing how you feel here, really pressing into those forearms and feel how it changes the stretch into your shoulders. And then wing the elbows out to the side and take a little break again. You're perhaps starting to feel that into your shoulders. Right, this next one is a shoulder and a hip stretch. Tina, be very careful with this one. What I want you to do is lay here on your front with your arms in a cactus position. So they're kind of in the old, we're laying with our arms like so. So they're not straight, they are bent at right angles. So we're on our tummies with our arms like this. And then from here, just pressing into the palms, We're going to start with the left side because I think it's easier for you to see. I'm just going to bring my knee as high up as I can so that my shin is parallel to the side of the mat. Hopefully you can see that. So I'm laying on one side and I'm going to try to use that leg, pushing into that leg. I'm just starting to push out of the left hand towards the right. So you'll feel a bit of an engagement in that shoulder. If you were happy just being symmetrical in the middle of the mat with the knee up, that's absolutely fine because this is quite a strong stretch. Otherwise you can try to push into that mat, into that shoulder. I don't find that very comfortable. And then slowly taking that leg down the mat, taking a little waggle from side to side, bringing the hands in so that they're level with the armpits. Just taking a little raise up here into hanging cobra, and down we go again. And this time, set your arms up again. This time we're going to bring the right knee up, making sure that the shin is parallel with the side of the mat. And then we're just going to almost roll out of the, we're trying to roll towards the left-hand side. You're not going to go anywhere, but maybe using the right hand to push into the left side. So Tina, really take care here. Maybe this isn't one for you. And then becoming completely passive again, laying back down to front. Tuck both toes and just take a little waggle from side to side here, pushing the toes away long. Hands come to either side of your ribs, and slowly we're going to just push ourselves up and back into our first downward facing dog of the day. So just take a moment here to maybe walk the dog. Fingertips are wide. Middle finger is tracking towards the top edge of the mat. Hips are high, tummy is sucked in. Really let those shoulders release. Torso is coming towards our thighs here. So just taking a moment to notice where you're feeling all the active places in down dog. And then from here, bending generously into your knees, twist both feet so that your toes are facing left. And you should immediately feel a lovely stretch into your left side and armpit area of your shoulder. And then coming back to center into downward facing dog. And then twisting the feet right, really pushing out of the right hand here to get the stretch in the right hand side. Slowly back to center, into downward facing dog. One more time to the left. So pushing out of the left hand here, really pushing, pushing, pushing. Up to center, downward facing dog, and then over towards the right. So we're kind of in this funny sideways crouch, where we're pushing out of the right hand, and then back to center, downward facing dog for a few breaths, just finding your breath here. And then very slowly and carefully dropping to knees. And taking child's pose, so arms come behind you, forehead to the mat, and let shoulders be really heavy here, let them drop, let them open. And then slowly and mindfully curling up. Bringing your hands to the mat, into downward facing dog, and then carefully and slowly we're going to walk to the top of the mat so that our feet are level with our hands. So bending your knees really generously here and sending your hips high. And tucking your face in,
Noticing the engagement in your glutes here. Maybe bringing the hands towards the mat, maybe they touch the floor, maybe they're nowhere near, it doesn't matter. But make sure your knees are bent and your torso is on your thighs. So let's just take a moment to hang here. Let the shoulders be really heavy and open. We've done a little bit of work with these here. And then tucking the chin right in to inhibit the vagus nerve as we very slowly and carefully roll up. And head and neck are the last things to move. And then we're at the top. Lovely job. Right, I'm going to take my top off now. I'm getting a bit warm. Okay, so from Tadasana, let's just take a moment to set up our Tadasana. So we're about hip width apart. Hips are stacked above our ankles, shoulders are rolled round and back and are above our hips. Palms are very gently facing forward, so we're not in this military position, we're just purposely and mindfully upright. Beautiful. And then from here, slowly dropping the chin onto the chest and let the shoulders round here. We're starting to imagine our spines, vertebra by vertebra, rolling down, really heavy in our arms. Let them swing a little bit here. Arms and shoulders, really feel the shoulder blades separating here. Let the arms dangle. And then bending your knees quite generously. We're going to bring our torsos back down to our bent knees here. And when we're here, grabbing opposite elbows and then sending the hips high. So setting ourselves up first. So rather than trying to go straight into a straight leg forward fold, we're going to start with our knees bent with our torsos on our knees. And from here, just gently start to straighten the legs. And we'll just check out where we are. So this movement is actually starting to send your hips up. That's what you should be visualizing. And you'll feel your hamstrings tighten. Let your head, neck and shoulders be really passive here, very heavy, very open. Just noticing what's going on in the legs here. Taking a moment, making sure you can nod yes and shake no. And then taking both hands to the mat. Maybe your legs are straight, maybe they're still bent. Mine are bent. I've got my belly on my thighs and it feels quite comfortable. And from here, we're just going to step back with the right leg and come down onto the right knee. So we're in a kneeling position. We've got two right angles, one in the front knee, one in the back knee. We're upright, we're neither back nor forward. So just take a moment to set yourself up here. Ribs are nice and open, shoulders around and back. Our spine is as long as it can possibly be. We're getting lots of breath to where it needs to go. Oh, my TV's just threatening to switch itself off, which is blooming annoying. Sorry, as we were. And then bringing the arms in front of us here, straight ahead, taking a moment, perhaps rotating the hands and wrists one way and then the other, noticing how this changes things in the shoulders. And then let's take them up overhead if that's available to you. If it isn't, go back to what you were doing, just taking a moment here. And slowly bringing them around to the side and down. And then clasping the hands behind the bum here and lifting the arms up. So we're really opening through the front body into the pecs here. Giving a good stretch, really squeezing the shoulder blades together. Hopefully this should feel like quite a nice antidote to some of the work that we've been doing. So just working with the breath here, making sure you are in fact breathing. And slowly lowering the hands towards the bottom. And now for this next bit, hopefully you're all well padded on your carpets. If you need to grab something to put under the knee you're kneeling on, then do. Because what we're going to do
is bend into the back knee. So you might need to bring your left hand down for this. We're bending into the right knee, reaching round to grab hold, and we're bringing ourselves back up to being upright again. But you might notice, like I have just had to do, I've had to adjust my front leg so that I keep a right angle. You don't want to be in this position where your knee is over your toes. We want a nice straight line with the shin. So from here, just really holding and kicking back into that hand if you can reach it. If you can't, don't worry about it at all. Just lift that leg up, because what we're doing, we're starting to strengthen the quads and the hamstrings here. Really good stretch for the hamstrings. If you can reach that hand, really use your hand to pull into the foot and use your foot to push into the hand. So really checking in with your posture here the whole time. And if that feels okay, maybe bringing the other arm up overhead, maybe just taking it away and stretching away. So noticing how this feels. So you'll really have fired up your quad here. And then slowly, slowly releasing the back foot, bringing your hands down to the mat. And let's just ease back until we can flex into that left foot. So we're doing a half monkey split here. And then rolling all the way back and forward into that foot, tucking the back foot, lifting up on that leg, and let's take the other leg behind so that we come into plank pose. So plank, our feet are a bit closer together. We're really pushing out away from the mat here. Bottoms are low. And then slowly knees come down to mat. And thinking about your triceps doing the work here. And we're not doing a press up. As we lower down, our elbows are winging in to graze our rib cage. So looking down the whole time, slowly, slowly, slowly lowering down onto the mat. From here, hands come to face the ceiling and arms are outstretched behind us next to our hips. We're looking down at the mat. And we're going to slowly take both feet off the mat and our upper body into locust. So just explore this movement and then come down. We're going to do that one more time. Inhale to rise. And exhale down, hands come back to the side of the body, pushing up. And back into extended child's pose. Take a little stretch here, see what's going on in the shoulders. And back to center. And this time we are going to, from this position, just step forward with the right foot. So that we are in our right angled, in our low lunge again. So having something handy if you need it to kneel on. I'm on a bit of a hard floor under my mat. So making sure you've got a nice right angle in the front leg here. Setting yourself up. Bringing your arms out to shoulder height. And let's just take a little movement into the shoulder here. So we're exploring how the arms can internally and externally rotate here. If that feels okay, let's take them up and overhead. Once you've got them up here, if you can get them up here, really make an effort to slide those shoulders down your back so that you're not wearing them around your ears. And then bringing the arms down to the sides to meet behind the bum. Clasp your hands together and let's take a raise here. So really encouraging the front body to open here, squeezing the shoulder blades back. Just noticing where you're aware of this stretch, and then slowly lower the arms here. Maybe padding your knee now and adjusting your front knee as we bend the back knee, grabbing hold if we can. Maybe it's different on this side. Maybe you need to widen where your feet are, like I've just had to do. So we're getting a lovely stretch into the left hip flexor here. So just noticing how that feels. Pushing the foot into the hand and resisting. And then if you are able, taking that arm up. If that's not available to you today, just leave it down. We're still getting a lovely stretch here. So just noticing how you feel on this side. If you're wobbling a bit, increase the width between your knee and your foot. So maybe your right foot needs to come to the right edge of your mat and the knee needs to come to the left edge. So we've got a wider base. Does that make sense? I get a bit wobbly if my knees are in a line. You might just find you've got a bit more stability there. Just give it a go. Tina, bring your right foot towards the right edge of the mat. Bring it right to the side. That's it. You've got a wider base then. That should make you a bit more stable. Or maybe it's just not a good balancing day. Sometimes it's just like that. So we're not going to stay here for too long. I think we've held that for long enough now. Slowly letting that leg down. Tucking. Oh no, we need to start bringing our bottoms towards the back foot. As we lift the right foot, flex into our half monkey split here. So taking a moment to enjoy the stretch in the hamstring, and then rolling back over that foot, moving whatever packing you've got out of the way. Tucking the back feet, placing both hands down, and let's take that back foot to join together at the back and bringing ourselves up into plank. Sorry, I'm not stringing my words together very well this morning. I think I've been up too long. So pushing the mat away, really increasing the distance between the shoulder blades here. Now either dropping to knees and lowering down, or bringing the body weight forward, slowly bending into the elbows, lower down. Really nice one for the abs. Taking a moment here, stretching the arms away long behind you, palms are turned up. Looking down at the mat and inhale to rise into locust. So arms are straight, legs are straight, we're looking down. We're in a little back bend here and lower down again. Take a breath or so and then we're going to do it once more. So inhale to rise. Really squeezing the glutes here, trying to lift and open the front body and lower down and bring the hands in front and just place your head on your hands and turn your feet in so your toes are facing each other into crocodile and just roll from hip to hip here. Rolling from hip to hip, have a little waggle. And then setting the feet straight, coming up onto your forearms so that you are in Sphinx pose. So your elbows are in line with your armpits or underneath your armpits. And you're looking down at your thumb. So you've made two L shapes between your index finger and your thumb, and you're looking down. And from here, we're going to tuck our toes and lift into half plank. So this is quite strong. Just going to take a couple of breaths here. Just noticing how you feel. Remember, Jadarim is good. Holding breath is not good. And then lower down to the knees again. Take a moment here. Maybe looking forward, maybe coming out of Sphinx pose completely. Then we're going to tuck the toes again. We're going to try that again. Raising up into half plank. I think this is far more difficult than full plank. And lower down again. Taking whatever rest or movement might feel nice here. And then bringing the right arm so that it's parallel with the top edge of the mat. We're going to roll onto our right hip. And we're going to raise ourselves up onto the side of our right foot into half plank with a side twist. So really pushing into the forearm here, lifting high through the left hip,
And slowly lowering yourself down and take a break. That's really hard work, that one. So take a waggle from hip to hip. And then setting yourself up to go on the other side. So left forearm comes parallel with the top of the mat. We roll onto our left hip, stack one foot on top of the other, raise the hips up, and maybe take that arm up straight as well. So lifting high through the right hip, maybe just for a breath or two, and then slowly, slowly coming down and rolling out of it, and pushing yourself back into extended child's pose. Really have a nice counter posture to what you've just been doing. Noticing how your breath is flowing. Maybe you feel a bit warmer now. And then slowly pushing yourself up onto all fours. Tucking the toes into downward facing dog. And this time we're going to send our right leg high. So as you send your right leg high, make sure, particularly if you're open in your hips, make sure that your foot hasn't rolled out. So to make sure, really dial your feet down and almost send your right toes over towards the left. This ensures that the hip is still facing in the right direction and you haven't overextended. So just raising that leg up and then bending into that right knee. Let the right foot come over towards the left. So we're really opening the hip here, letting that right hip be nice and open, pushing into the hands, noticing what's happening with the left hamstring and the shoulder blades. And then very slowly and carefully bringing that knee back to center, looking towards the hands, starting to bend into the left leg, and we're going to bring that right leg forward. So just setting yourself up there, we're coming into a high lunge here. So getting there however you need to. So once we're here, making sure that both feet are tracking towards the front, we're up on the toes of the back leg. Maybe your leg is bent to start with, but we want to ease towards straightening it. And then when we're there, taking the arms up, sliding the shoulders down, or if that's not comfortable, having the hands here, and you can have your fingers like so, or you can have them on the hips. So just taking a moment here. Wherever your arms are, bring them to your hips. What we're going to try and do now, you might need to do this in more than one. You might need to do that kind of movement, but we're going to go from this high lunge into a single leg balance. And once we're there, we're going to start tilting forwards. So front leg is straight or nearly straight, and back leg, we want to bring the same awareness to the position of the hip into warrior three. So you can have your arms behind you, in front of you, or on your hip. Toes are dialed down and almost to the right. And then slowly, 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 turn your toes towards the left, bring and place that leg down, ready for warrior two. So you might need to do a little adjustment once you get here. So bending generously into the right knee here. Right knee is tracking towards the right edge of the mat. Shoulder blades are squeezed in. Little fingers are heading behind you. And we're looking down the arm to our middle right finger. So really notice the energy splitting between the mat here, between our 2 feet. Think about the energy going into the back edge of the left foot, front edge of the right foot. Now imagine you're trying to bring both feet together. So legs are still going in opposite directions, but imagine you're trying to squeeze the feet together, and it will really activate those leg muscles. And then slowly lowering the arms
upturning the right arm, leaning on the right leg. Left arm comes in front, up, and then over. Let's really try and get that rotation in the upper left part of the chest. So arm can either be over your head with fingertips stretched away or straight up. So it's at the same angle. Imagine from your knee, your arm is coming straight up. So looking towards the palm, wherever it is, and then slowly bringing that arm round, pivoting on that back foot. Let's take the right foot back to join the left. Into plank, now either dropping to knees or full chaturanga all the way down, so elbows wing in as we lower down. Taking a moment here, and then slowly pushing ourselves up, back into downward facing dog. So nice and slowly. This time we're going to raise our left leg up. So just thinking about where our toes have gone. If they've dialed out towards the left, we want to dial them back round to the right to make sure the hip is facing down. Push evenly into both hands here. And then bending into that left knee, let the left heel drop over towards the right. You should feel a lovely stretch in the hip here, pushing into both hands, really pushing away. And then slowly bringing that knee back round to center, looking towards the hands because that's where we're going to go. Bending into the right leg into a crouching position as we bring our left foot through, step through into a high lunge. So bending into that back leg first, setting ourselves up, maybe widening our feet here, taking a moment, maybe bringing the arms up, dropping the shoulders down, maybe taking a mudra here, whatever feels nice. Just noticing how that feels, drive away with that back heel. Just taking a moment. And then getting ready to spring into warrior three. So maybe edging the foot forward or maybe just gently and slowly. And with grace and elegance, raising that leg up behind us. Perhaps arms are out to the side, perhaps they're behind us. Foot is gently flexed. And then from there, we're going to bend into the front leg as we take our back leg back, set it down ready for warrior two. So left knee is tracking towards the left edge of the mat. We've got energy going into the outer edge of our right foot, sending energy forward. Notice that your body weight does not come past your knees on your front leg. Shoulders are squeezed together, looking down the center finger of the left hand. And then very slowly as we bring that arm down, let's upturn the palm, lean on the left thigh, bring the right arm all the way down and forwards. And then turning here as we bring the arm either over our head, so the elbow is by our ear, or straight up in a straight line. But make sure your left knee is tracking towards the left edge of your mat. Looking up towards those fingers, wherever they are. And then slowly bringing that arm down, pivoting on that back foot, bringing both hands down to the mat, taking your left foot back into plank and making your way down. From here, we're going to push straight back up into downward facing dog for 5 breaths. So we've really done a lot of hip and shoulder work here today. So taking a moment here, bending your knees, sending your hips high, sucking your abs in, really pushing into both hands here. Head and neck are loose, you can nod yes, you can shake no. Just taking some time to notice how your dog feels today. My other little dog has just joined me. He's come to do a bit of yoga. And then slowly, slowly, slowly walking the hands back towards the feet. So maybe starting to bend your knees generously as your hands come in towards your feet. Once your hands are near your feet, let's just have a little dangle for a moment. And then tucking the chin right in, let's roll all the way up. So tucking the chin in as we roll up compresses the vagus nerve and it stops you being dizzy if you come up too quickly, so it's worth remembering that. Right, we're going to do one last standing balance before we come down to the mat and before we go into our Shavasana. So I will face you, no, I'll stand this way. So taking your weight into your right foot and slowly lifting the left knee up. Once you've lifted it up, let's start to take it behind you. And if you are able, reach round to grab hold of it. So it's a bit like doing a quad stretch if you've been out for a run. But what we're going to do here, we're going to start to hinge from the hips as we bring our right arm forward and as we take our left foot into our hand and press away. So this is dancer pose. Very nice once you can find your balance. So if you're here, that's absolutely fine. Don't strive to get here if you're not ready for that. Let's just work on the balance first of all. If this is where you're at, the minute you start to move, you lose your balance, then here is great. We're strengthening the standing leg and we're encouraging our brains to tune in with our feet. This is why we have bare feet in our practice, so that we get lots of feedback into our toes and feet. And slowly, slowly, grace and elegance, coming back to neutral and putting that foot down. Good effort, everyone. Well done. It's not easy, that one. Some days you can do it, some days you can't. Right, let's have a little step from foot to foot and give it a go on the other side. So bringing your weight into your left foot now. Start to bring the knee up. And then as it comes up, let's reach down the shin and grab hold of the foot. Just set yourselves up here. Find something, find a drishti point to focus on. Tune into your feet, particularly your big toe. It's crucial in any balance. And as we start to hinge at the hips, let's take the arm forward, really pushing the back of the right foot into the hand. Sliding those shoulders apart. So we're trying to get the foot higher and higher, but only where you are balanced and strong and still breathing. If you're holding your breath, you've gone too far. So get to where you're getting to. And slowly, 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 let's come out of that balance. Well done. It's hard work, that one, but it's nice. Even if you just get to the point where you are maybe leaning against something like a door or a window, anything that allows you to get that angle where you are hinging at your hips and you've got the other leg behind you. It makes you feel as though you've accomplished something, which is good. So let's very gently come down to the mat now and take both knees so that they are facing left. So nice and wide. And then just turning to look at your right shin. Take both hands, grab your right shin and use your arms to pull yourself around. You will feel a lovely stretch in your left shoulder. Hopefully it's a lovely stretch. So just looking towards the right. Really feel the stretch all the way into your neck here. And slowly unraveling. And let's take both legs to the other side. So feet are apart here, they're not touching the body or the other leg. Once you're there, turning, grabbing the other shin. Maybe you need to adjust your tight one side. And then use your right hand to just get a little bit of tension to achieve the twist on this side. Hopefully you can feel that you've opened in your right shoulder here, perhaps pushing away into the ankle with your left hand. And slowly coming back to center. And then rolling all the way round and down. Perhaps putting on a layer here if you need to. We're going to take ourselves down for a few minutes in Shavasana. So making yourself comfortable here, getting your socks on or your top or whatever will make you feel a little bit more comfortable. Let's do that. And I will find some nice relaxing music for you to have your Shavasana too. So just as we did at the beginning of the practice, starting to bring your attention inward again. And considering how your breath is flowing. So starting to bring a little awareness back into your body, perhaps a little bit of movement into your fingers and toes. Taking a wriggle, circling into your wrists and ankles. And then taking any stretch that might feel nice. Bringing one knee into the chest and then the other. And having a little roll from side to side before slowly settling on your right hand side, just to let the blood pressure equalize for a moment or two. And then very slowly and carefully bringing yourself up to seated. I'm not going to be here for long, so don't worry about being uncomfortable for too long. Lots of space in your spine. Joining your hands in prayer at your heart center and dropping your head just for a moment of acknowledgement for the time that you've set aside for your practice today, and to unite your mind, your body and your breath. And of course, to appreciate, acknowledge and remember just how truly amazing your body is. Namaste.